Let me tell you guys, we're very, very blessed to live and work and play in such an awesome city. We have tremendous citizens, and I'll tell you, we're led by some of the best leaders. And with that, it's now my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you our City of Deer Park Mayor and a good friend, Mr. Jerry Mouton, Jr.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event today. Many of you said to me, it sure is nice to be able to attend an event in person, and I agree. Unfortunately, on behalf of my wife, I'd like to apologize. She was unable to attend today. She's under the weather. My mother is here. I'd like to introduce her and her husband, Mike Sanders. And I would be remiss if I didn't at least publicly thank the council for their hard work this past year. And it's such an honor on behalf of the City of Deer Park and the council to be able to present the 2021 State of the City Address. I guess I need to point it over here for it to work. Did I turn it on? Joe, I need some help. It's not going. Winter storm. What can I say? Let me commend our community and staff for handling that event last week. I saw many people come together to help one another in time of need. I saw staff go above and beyond to deal with circumstances that in most cases we're unaccustomed to. The heartache of being able to manage no electricity and no water at the same time was very challenging for most of us. But staff went above and beyond to do whatever needed to be done to deal with our water system and get it back up and functioning. At one point on Tuesday evening, after having some meetings at City Hall, I went home and 87% of Deer Park was out of power. And of course, all of us were paying attention to that, but I thought it was a high number in particular for our community that was unprecedented in comparison to other communities. But we managed and we made it through. I'd like to commend the staff at the Water Department and Public Works for the efforts they made last week as they were able to deal with the circumstances. And fortunately, as I was talking to Mr. Stevens with the DPISD, we were able to get water on Sunday. So fortunately, on Monday, when able to open schools, that was not an issue for them. Well, 2020. If you just say it like that, it brings a negative connotation, right? But when you really look at 2020, and especially from the City of Deer Park's perspective, we have a lot of things that we should be proud of. One of the first being the City of Deer Park's council was recognized as Council of the Year by the Texas City Management Association. Let's give them a nice prop. In any aspect of the application was really tilted toward a lot of the strategic planning and management of being able to manage through the ITC event. Here we were able to receive a municipal award, and Kristen gets a lot of credit for this, the PIO or Public Information Officer, in regards to the management, strategic management strategy of emergency management with the City of LaPorte. We were able to get a recognition and a municipal award. This is a big deal. I know Charlie's here, who is our director. He can stand up and recognize him for the Parks and Recs Department. So this is a national acclaim accreditation. Thank you for your efforts, sir. And I know he's going to appreciate this. Deer Park Parks and Rec Department is one of only 20 departments in the state of Texas that's achieved this recognition. So it's a lot of effort by staff, setting a very high standard for what they do in the Parks Department. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. I give him a lot of hard time behind the scenes, so he should be happy because it was a really big deal. And again, we're talking about 2020. And I hope that comes across the right way because I know in the city of Deer Park, we've got a lot of things to be proud of. Oh, Lord, help us. It was an honor of mine to receive this, and it's really amazing because it was just last March, right? How long has a year been? But in March of 2020, I was able to share and be recognized as an elected official of the year for Harris County through the Master of Public Administration Department at the University of Houston. Now, it was a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of elected officials in Harris County. A lot of the recognition for this award was, again, a lot of the processes of being able to manage through the ITC event and the collaboration that I and the city of Deer Park did with multiple agencies throughout the county in regards to how do we respond and manage through an event like that impacts our community. And I know we've got some people from ITC, and I'd like to personally thank them for their efforts. And that was an event that really got all of our attention, but we responded to it very well, and I'm very proud of this recognition. So why don't you join me as we look at some more in-depth aspect to our Parks Department here in this video.
Throughout 2020, the Deer Park Parks and Recreation Department worked hard to maintain programming, services, and resources to the citizens of Deer Park.
Beginning in March 2020 and continuing throughout the year, the staff of the Maxwell Center found ways to continue critical services, such as supplying one hot meal per day to nearly 100 senior members, using social distancing and safety protocols. In addition, the staff began the practice of conference, calling and reaching out to the center's 534 members once per month over the phone as a courtesy and as a way to maintain relationships.
The marketing division created a virtual programming platform that consisted of a weekly calendar of activities, instructional and educational videos, printables for patrons of all ages to enjoy at home. Thousands of users accessed the material, which spotlighted the city's services as well as outdoor amenities like the Deer Park Nature Preserve.
In August and September of 2020, the Parks and Recreation Department, along with the Deer Park Independent School District, worked together to provide the after-school program on site. Instead of the virtual learning, we were able to provide services to 150 kids in the community through our after-school program to continue their educational experience.
The Art Park players worked to provide a safe environment for 6 municipal theater summer camps. Groups of approximately 30 students attended each of the classes, practicing social distancing and taking part in creative exercises. The theater also offered 11 performances of Godspell in November, which were both the actors and audience were social distanced.
The department even continued its annual tradition of installing beautiful Christmas decor at a range of city facilities, from covering trees in Christmas lights to placing giant ornaments in key locations, perfect for family photos. As well, the department achieved its commission for accreditation of Parks and Recreation Agencies, called CAPRA, accreditation from the National Recreation and Park Association, which is NRPA.
Moving on with some good things that happened in 2020 in our financial aspects for the city of Deer Park. S&P rated us again with a AAA rating. Now, to me, that's a big deal. If you understand anything about the markets, we're one of 37 cities that has a AAA rating in the state of Texas, and it's the 6th consecutive year we've been able to maintain that rating, which really puts us in a good position of how do we move forward in regards to funding and paying for infrastructure. The city also receives for the 32nd consecutive year excellence in achieving of financial reporting, which is, again, contributes to how we're able to be so stable in our financial affairs. Moving on to some positive things, again, that happened in Deer Park for 2020. We were able to partner up and get some funding that helped subsidize COVID costs. Now, at the beginning of 2020, who would have known we'd had to deal with COVID, much less the ramifications of what it costs of having to go into it. Even to the point, one of the things that always took me off guard going into 2020, we didn't have anything in our handbook policy regarding to a pandemic. So literally through this whole episode, we had to write all of that into how do we respond to this pandemic, much less how do we deal with the cost. Fortunately, we were able to get some grant funding to help subsidize a lot of that things, even to the point of getting some FEMA reimbursement going all the way back to Harvey in regards to some expenses over at the Police Fire Training Center. Drainage agreements. Mitigating drainage is a big deal in this area. And we were blessed that we were able to partner up with not only Harris County, but Harris County Precinct 2 and Harris County Flood in regards to being able to stretch every dollar in the city of Deer Park. So here's some examples on different mitigation projects that we've got in regards to Bayou Bend, Boggy Bayou, and even at Deli Lane and Deer Park Manor of being able to stretch our funds as far as we can by partnering up with the county on these projects. Heritage Edition is right over, as Mr. Harrell most probably gets calls quite often in regards to the traffic in front of Dabbs Elementary. But we're doing a big drainage project right over there in front of that school to help mitigate a lot of flooding that occurred in that area during Harvey. And here's some pictures of some of that occurred. And at this time, let me let you look at a little bit of the video in regards to how the city actually dealt with a lot of the COVID response.
Hi, I'm Andrew Smith, Assistant Chief of Deer Park EMS. When the COVID-19 response began, the city supported us in buying whatever personal protective equipment we needed, including masks, gowns, gloves, and face shields. Our staff did a lot of great work finding sources for us to be able to buy those supplies, especially at a time when they were in high demand. That first couple of months, we went through hundreds of N95 masks, surgical masks, gowns, and face shields, and we were very grateful to groups like Shell Deer Park and so many others who made donations of these materials. As the incident progressed and it became harder to get disinfectants, the city approved a $14,000 purchase to allow us to install UV disinfectant lights in all 4 of our ambulances. I'm really proud of the way our entire paid and volunteer staff handled the response to COVID-19.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Poole, Library Director at the City of Deer Park. The Deer Park Public Library also adapted to COVID-19, creating a method for curbside pickup combining guidance from Governor Greg Abbott and the American Library Association. In the spring, we created curbside service to allow our patrons to pick up materials and print jobs in a contact-free environment. We used this service exclusively for a period of time and then reopened the library for browsing and limited computer service, operating with revised hours to ensure we could continue with curbside service. The library also developed a paperless card application system and found a safer way to manage the return of materials. To avoid potential transmission of the COVID-19 virus on our materials, we set up a new routine for return. All items must be returned to the outside book drop. Materials are then quarantined for a minimum 48 hours, then cleaned and checked in prior to returning them to the shelves.
Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, the Parks and Rec Department's Building Maintenance Division worked diligently to provide sanitation services for the entire city of Deer Park.
My name is Michelle Combs with the Deer Park Municipal Court. The Deer Park Municipal Court, with guidance from the Texas Office of Court Administration and Deer Park Family Clinic, also enacted new procedures during the COVID-19 response. In addition to steps like temperature checks, providing hand sanitizer, and requiring masks in the facility, the court made several operation-related changes from utilizing email communications to changing the timing of their weekly dockets. During COVID, we split the docket in 2, holding one docket at 1 and one at 3 p.m. This cut down on the number of people in the court at a particular time, and now defendants are in and out within a much shorter window of time.
Well, you can't go anywhere these days without seeing them little dots, right? You go to Home Depot, they got them. You're supposed to stand on the dot and stay 6 feet away. I mean, really? But this is where we are, man. I'm so proud to see how the city, in every aspect of how we provide services, has done the best they can to accommodate and make sure from the city's side that we're doing it as safely as possible and not contributing to any aspect to the spread. May 2021, we have some special elections coming up, and I want to cover a little bit of that. We've got approximately $66 million in bonds we're going to put on the ballot for taxpayers to approve hopefully this coming year. And the most important aspect of this right now that I want to make sure it comes across, we're going to be able to do this without even having to discuss raising the tax rate at all to cover the expenditures of this debt. For me, it's a good thing from any aspect to not only have a AAA rating to be able to get access to funds as cheaply as possible, but we don't even have to consider raising our tax rates. So I want to reiterate that. We do not have to raise tax rates to cover this debt. So it's put us in a really good position of how we can address infrastructure moving forward, and we're going to cover some of that here. We've got 4 bonds coming up that's going to be covering drainage, fire department facilities, streets, sidewalks, and again, additional drainage, and construction of a new Jimmy Burke Activity Center and a visitor center / museum. We're going to look at investing in all of that this year, and here's a little bit more in-depth aspect of all that in this video.
On the May 2021 ballot, Deer Park voters will be asked to consider 4 bond propositions for improvements to city infrastructure, including drainage projects and street repairs, as well as new city facilities like the Jimmy Burke Activity Center and 2 fire stations. If the propositions are approved by the voters, the city would issue general obligation bonds for the purposes described in the propositions. When a municipality issues general obligation bonds, property tax revenues are used to retire or repay the bonds over time. However, just because the city is using property tax dollars to pay back the bonds doesn't mean the property tax rate is increasing. Using estimated property values within the city can forecast how much property tax will be collected each year, and then determine how much debt can be paid off with the forecasted property tax revenue. This is what is referred to as the city's debt capacity. The City of Deer Park currently has a debt capacity of approximately $66 million over a 3-year period, enough to cover all 4 bond propositions. This means the bonds can be issued and paid back without necessitating a tax rate increase.
On the May 2021 ballot, City of Deer Park voters will be asked to consider a general obligation bond to be earmarked for drainage projects. This video will provide information on the efforts the City of Deer Park has made in recent years to mitigate flooding throughout our community.
In 2009, a drainage master plan was developed in partnership with Klotz & Associates, a Houston-based engineering consultant. The plan identified approximately $60 million in drainage projects throughout the city, from large-scale efforts like the Patrick's Bayou Detention Pond, completed in 2014, to neighborhood detention ponds, culverts, and ditch improvements. Following Hurricane Harvey, the City of Deer Park took a comprehensive look at flood mitigation through specific studies with engineering consultant Cobb Finley. These studies took repetitive loss areas, citizens' concerns, localized flooding, and other factors into account. In addition, the city has partnered with Harris County and the Harris County Flood Control District to look at a broader study, the Boggy Bayou Watershed Study, which, once complete, will assist in developing long-term flooding solutions for the Deer Park area. While some progress has been made, with various projects either under construction or in the design phase, an additional source of funding is needed to take further steps. Remaining projects will be complex due to the need for additional land for detention and significant piping to transport surface flows.
On the May 2021 ballot, City of Deer Park voters will be asked to consider a general obligation bond to be earmarked for new Deer Park facilities, including replacement of existing Fire Station Number 1 and Fire Station Number 2 and a fire training facility.
To begin, we'll provide some information about the fire stations proposed for replacement as part of this initiative. Fire Station Number 1, located at 1300 Center Street, has been in service for 65 years. With the passage of the bond initiative, the proposed location for a new Fire Station Number 1 is on West 13th Street, adjacent to the proposed site of the new Jimmy Burke Activity Center. Fire Station Number 2, located at 711 East Pasadena Boulevard, has been in service for 55 years. With the passage of the bond initiative, the proposed location for the new Fire Station Number 2 facility is across the street from the existing building on Pasadena Boulevard. What would these new stations look like? First, each station would include 4 drive-through bays with larger openings that are better suited for modern fire apparatus, including fire trucks. The stations would also include offices for department personnel, meeting rooms, a kitchen and a day room for the firefighters, as well as workspaces to repair and store equipment and bunker gear. Finally, the buildings would be designed with increased energy efficiency and meet higher hurricane standards. The bond election also includes a fire training facility, which could be built as a standalone resource to be located at the existing drill field or as part of one of the new fire stations. The training facility would ideally accommodate 40 to 65 people and could be utilized not only by department personnel, but also by partner organizations like the local Emergency Planning Committee, the LEPC, or industry partners.
On the May 2021 ballot, City of Deer Park voters will be asked to consider a general obligation bond sale to be earmarked for the design and replacement of streets. This video will provide information on the efforts the City of Deer Park has made in recent years to improve our roadways within the city.
The city has approximately 115 miles of streets, which 35% were built prior to 1970. The city budgets a portion of ad valorem taxes annually for maintenance activities such as patching, pavement raising, spalling and joint repairs, crack sealing, and panel replacement. Since 2015, the city has spent approximately $8.5 million on the reconstruction of roadways. The reconstruction effort requires not only the design of the road surface, but also reconstruction of the infrastructure beneath and adjacent to the roadway, such as storm, sanitary sewer, and water lines. The design typically takes 8 to 12 months and construction 12 to 18 months. The referenced $8.5 million was used to reconstruct Norwood, 13th Street Bridge at 8th Street, Amherst Lane, Brown Lane, West 9th Street, West 12th Street, Barron and Cork Lanes, Dahlia and Ember Lanes, Fleet and Glacier Lanes, Hastings and Iris Lanes, and Justin and Kelvin Lanes. The engineering department is continuing efforts to assess roadways in need of repair replacement by taking the Pavement Condition Index, PCI, ride quality, and other factors into account.
On the May 2021 ballot, City of Deer Park voters will be asked to consider a general obligation bond to be earmarked for the construction of a new Jimmy Burke Activity Center complex, which will include a visitor center and museum.
The proposed Jimmy Burke Activity Center complex has a proposed finished building area of 46,572 square feet in size and includes a range of amenities. The Activity Center includes a 25,000 square foot meeting space with 2 operable partitions and breakout rooms. It also includes advanced audiovisual technology and a full-service catering kitchen, making it ideal for conferences or large-scale events. The area around the facility, as well as the additional parking included in the design, will create additional opportunities for outdoor activities and family-friendly special events. The Visitor Center will include office space for the city's tourism program, as well as a new home for approximately 25 display cabinets maintained by the City of Deer Park Historical Committee. The space will allow residents and visitors an opportunity to explore historic documents, photos, and deeds from throughout the city's history free of charge. Visitors to the Jimmy Burke Activity Center will quickly notice the flow and synergy of the site, with wayfinding signage to guide visitors around the facility and parking areas.
As you can see, we've been busy for the last number of years since 2015 on a lot of these projects that have lined up with our strategic plan. And in that same conjunction, a lot of the projects we're proposing has been prioritized off of that strategic plan as well. One of the additional aspects of what we're going to be putting on the ballot in May of 2021 is the continuation of the Type B Economic Development Sales and Use Tax, which is funds the CDC Corporation, which we have had in effect for a number of years, which we put on the ballot a few years ago to help fund projects specifically in our Parks Department. We're asking for the voters to continue this so we can specifically fund a project of building a brand new community and activity center, which is adjacent to the city of Deer Park. As many of you are aware of, and if you're not, that particular facility was built in a number of different stages. And originally we were looking at rehabilitating that facility and enhancing it to go along with some of the other amenities that we're doing around the community. But it was deemed that facility was just not worth investing in. So we're looking at a brand new facility there, and this is a way that we can fund that. Now, it goes in conjunction with aspect of continuing the sales tax initiative that we have in place, which will keep our sales tax at 8.25%, and we're asking voters to renew that, and here's a little bit more information on that.
The May 2021 ballot will include a special election where voters will be asked to vote for or against the continuation of the Type B Economic Development 0.5% sales tax. This continuation will allow for additional purposes or uses for the Type B sales tax.
Deer Park voters previously approved a Type B Economic Development sales tax in 2015, authorizing 7 projects including construction of the Dow Park Pavilions, renovations to the Maxwell Adult Center, construction of the Girls Softball Complex, construction of the Deer Park Soccer Complex, construction of the Spencerview Athletic Complex, Durant Fields, renovations to and expansion of the Deer Park Community Center, and the development of hike and bike trails. The majority of these projects have been completed. Specifically, the 2021 ballot language will address authorizing an additional use of revenues from the existing Type B Economic Development Sales and Use Tax for new projects to include a community recreation center complex with 2 buildings, both to be located on the north side of Dow Park. The first building, Phase 1 of the complex, a community center of approximately 12,000 square feet in size, will house activity, program, and meeting rooms, as well as staff offices, to be constructed next door to City Hall on the site of the former City Hall. The second building, Phase 2 of the complex, a recreation center of approximately 48,000 square feet in size, would house the gymnasium, indoor walking track, and indoor pool to be built on the site of the current community center and gymnasium after demolition of the current buildings. The complex will also include a new outdoor swimming pool bathhouse, replacing the existing outdoor swimming pool bathhouse. The total estimated cost for the above 3 facilities is $42.6 million. The anticipated total construction timeline is approximately 44 months. The ballot language will also allow for Type B funds to be allocated to additional purposes of land, buildings, equipment, facilities, and improvements found suitable by the Deer Park Community Development Corporation. It is also proposed that a portion of the Type B sales tax be dedicated for the maintenance and operation expenses associated with the current Type B projects. Approval of this proposition would also allow existing Type B fund balance to be expanded on projects authorized by the voters in 2015. For example, this fund balance could be used for additional parking at the new soccer complex, girls softball fields at Youth Sports Complex, and Spencerview Complex, Durant Fields.
That was a lot of information. We try to cover a lot of different things, try to give you any aspect of where we've come from and where we're going. On your table, you have some additional information printed out. Please take it with you and read through it and look at all. It'll give you a lot more detail with everything we've shown today. It was such an honor of mine to be able to present the state of the city for 2021. And from my perspective, I'm proud to say that the city's in great shape moving forward despite all the negative aspect of 2020. We had a really great year, and we got a lot of things coming up, and we're looking forward to the voters approving to the propositions, and I would encourage all of you to look into that and support these initiatives moving forward. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Kristen Edwards and her sidekick in regards to helping me prepare for today, and the support I've received from staff in regards to any aspect of being the mayor. At this time, let me call Paula back up. I know she's got some closing comments, but thank you so much and appreciate y'all taking time to be here today.